You indicate you've been chief judge. It's been my observation as a lawyer, 35 years now, that going from lawyer and advocate to judge provides some challenges. Would you agree? What challenges does it provide, and are we doing enough to develop lawyers to become judges?
Well, first I would say that we want our judiciary not to be all just one kind of person. We want our judiciary to reflect our community with different backgrounds, different experiences. I guess the way that I would answer that question is, there's a fascinating problem with electing judges or having judges selected, in that you can point to examples of folks who've been appointed and elected and they were great judges, and you can point to those that have been unsuccessful who have been appointed or elected. But until they're on the job and doing the job, you often don't know whether they're going to be good judges or poor judges. Are they going to perform? Are they going to come to work and do the job every day, be fair, do all of the diligent efforts that we expect from our judiciary? And so fundamentally, we're talking about the character of the people that come to the bench. There is no guarantee that someone who you see as a candidate for judge, either through judicial selection or election, is going to be fundamentally great at it. And there may be some people that you had low expectations of because of their reputation as a lawyer or whatever, who come in and are fabulous judges because they fit the job. They do the work. And so what I would say is, I think there might be a few people out here who are judges who say, you know, I wanted to be a judge since the first judge that I met. But I would say that there's probably a majority who never really thought about being a judge. I have had 14 lawyers work for me as clerks. I've been on the bench for 14 years. I just met another lawyer who is in Gonzaga. I was friends with his dad, who's a city attorney in North Las Vegas. He passed away. He's in law school. And I don't think you think, I mean, some people might think of being a judge, but really you need to think of being a good lawyer. You get out, you practice. You can't even be a district court judge until you've been a lawyer for 10 years. Your practice path should take you through a path of good experience and good mentoring so that you can be competent and excellent in your skills. But there might be judicial assignments that you have that don't even fit what you did as a lawyer. But that doesn't mean you can't be a good judge if you apply yourself and do the job.
Thank you very much.
Judge Gonzalez, would you roll up to the podium? Let me open this question with a preface. And the preface is, in so many divorce cases, we have young children. And these children are part of the process. And the question is, if a child is really upset by what's going on with their parents and the custody, what can they do? Do children have the right to have their own lawyers in divorce cases?
Okay, first of all, the silent voice in most cases in the courtroom is the voice of a child. And it's very difficult to be able to hear from a child. And if you talk to anybody who's an adult and you go to seminars and they ask them to raise their hands, you know, as far as children in divorce cases, how many of you actually participated and testified in court? And those who raise their hand, even 20, 30 years later, they say, it's the worst experience that I ever had, because they had to go into court and give comments regarding both of their parents. Court is a very difficult place for children. Believe it or not, when I'm in court and it's a case dealing with children, my goal is not to make a decision. My goal is to assist the parents to reach a resolution, to mediate this case. And I tell them all the time, you are more wiser than I am as a judge. You are more regarding your children. And if you come out and you make a decision, then I'm going to support that decision and it will be done. On cases where we need to hear from children, we have a great family mediation center. They have extensive experience, and the children will not go into the courtroom. They'll go to an independent place where they are interviewed. The rule by the judges is that the parents are not to talk to the children, that we allow the children to come in and be able to freely talk about these issues. There are sometimes it's very sensitive that the parents may not know exactly if there's an issue, but in most cases we try to do it outside of the court system to allow the children's voice to be heard in the court.
Great answer. Questions,
Judge Giuliani, what have you done that most prepared you to ascend to the bench? And you're certainly welcome to talk about that superior undergraduate education that you had. So.
He went to the same undergraduate school. That's why he's saying that. Well, I think having children and understanding their needs, I don't really think that you have to have children at all to be on the bench, but I think from what I do, it helps me personally to have 3 children and see how children, their needs, what they need on a daily basis, what makes them tick, how they can do better in life. When I was a domestic judge, I always use the example is, if one parent always takes the child to school and the child's tardy, how does that affect the child? As a parent, I know that that child is coming into the class after everyone has been seated, and they're the one who feels the brunt of their parents' arguments, their parents' controversy. And I know that children need the love and the attention given to them on a daily basis. And I believe by having children, for me personally, it's helped me to understand the impact that divorce, and in my case now that I'm doing abuse and neglect, how special each and every child is and how they're vulnerable. And it's our jobs as parents and then our jobs in court when these families come to our court to make sure that they're protected. And I just believe that my experience personally is by having children and finding out the needs in family court, and I think it was a good fit for me to run for family court judge just based on the experience that I've had personally.
Thank you. Judge Cheryl Moss, would you please step forward? Judge Moss, this is one of the best questions, in my opinion, that has been submitted to us by the audience. Given the time between court appearances, which is sometimes many months, do you go back through the motions and pleas, and do you go back through your file to reread things before each reoccurrence of court, so that you can fully understand the nature of the case history and not just the immediate motion that's before you?
In our family court, we enacted one judge, one family rule, meaning if it involves the same child and the same parents or members of the family, we like to keep one judge from day one. When you say file, everything is filed electronically, and that's one of the improvements in our technology in court. So yes, I have about 3 laptops in the house, and I'm always reading back and preparing the cases from the night before, the week before. Go back and reread the court minutes. The court minutes help us give us a summary. We usually know or familiar with the history of the case. We were familiar with the old issues. We're familiar with the new issues. Most of the judges, and I think every of the district court judges in our court system are always prepared. We're diligent. We read our cases. And sometimes I get cases that are appealed to my department, such as a guardianship case, which is heard by a guardianship commissioner. And this case has like a 5 or 6 year history involving a minor child and the funds that they're entitled to. And it is our job to read everything from the very first piece of paper filed, and bring ourselves current and read all prior court orders. And that's what it means to be diligent and prepared in court.
Great. Thank you, Judge.
Julian,
I've already been up, I'll be happy to come up again if you want me to.
can I just get it one more time? Sure. Come on. You're the only one left who does abuse and neglect. You've been a policymaker, you've been in the legislature. You're a family court judge now. We're not talking about a specific case, but there's been a lot of discussion about foster care. Are we putting the resources into the kids that we need to? And if not, how do we do better? And if you want, who's to blame?
Well,
That's an easy one.
I feel so powerful. In our abuse and neglect cases that we have foster care programs, we have the district attorneys that represent the parents, we have attorneys for the children, we have a lot of things going on there. We never have enough resources. I don't think anybody does for anything that we do. About, I want to say 5 years ago, though, we implemented something called the model courts. And we are trying diligently to bring ourselves up to speed and make sure that we're treating each of these children appropriately, that we're not expending resources where we don't need to, so that those resources can go to the children and families who really need it. So it's a management issue really on the resources. And the judges really don't have a lot of say on what's going on there, except for the ability to be able to say, this family doesn't need to be in our courtroom, and so we don't need to be spending the resources on it. This was something that can be dealt with on a different track or a different level than coming into court and bringing this family back again and again and again and utilizing resources from a family who may have some critical abuse charges or children that are being harmed in the home that need the foster care. The blame that I think is the community as a whole. I have to blame everybody who wants to be in charge, who wants to win from their little corner of the world so that they can have the job that they want to have, the way they want to have it. And until we get all the players together and we sit them down and we say, here's how we're going to globally resolve this and set aside everybody's ego and their goals, until we do that, we're not going to get foster care under control.
Sorry to take that.
Judge William Potter. Bill Potter. Here's a very good question as well. An ex parte communication, ex parte meaning one party, is where one of the lawyers or one of the litigants wants to talk to you. The question is, have you ever had an attorney for one of the parties attempt an ex parte communication with you? And if so, how do you handle it?
It happens all the time, especially in the family bar. We're very congenial. Most of us were all family lawyers before we got to the bench, and we're still very friendly with family lawyers. It's the only way you can work under the circumstances of a divorce case where the parties just want to kill each other. You've got to have attorneys that kind of like each other in order to have some reason come into the process. It's just one of those things that when it happens, you just turn your back, you walk away, or you change the topic very quickly. We try and follow the guides that we've seen and the judges we appreciate and we look up to. Except earlier in the invocation, Solomon was mentioned. And I would discourage any judge, especially a family court judge, from following his guideline. Don't ever threaten to cut the baby in half, because people just don't seem to appreciate it.
Okay, Judge Potter. Okay, next up, I think Judge Ken Pollock. Judge? Judge, the judicial canons of ethics, and this has been mentioned before, restrict judges from making public statements on pending cases. So you've got this case in front of you, it's hotly contested, it's still ongoing, but you're asked to comment on it and you can't. Is that frustrating, and why?
Yeah, to some degree it is frustrating, because as a member of the community, you want to be open, you want to be transparent, you want to give as much information as you can, but under our ethical duties, we can't do it. So that is a fine balance that you have to try to navigate through. And it's an unfortunate part of our ethical rules, but a necessary one to make sure that the process keeps its integrity.
Good answer, thank you.
That is easy. When you identified yourself and talked about your career, I realized we graduated law school at the same time.
We're both old farts.
Yeah. And I know you worked very hard to get the bench, and you're doing a great job. Is there a path you didn't take that as you look back, you wish you might have taken, other than being on the bench?
As I look back over the years and the areas of practice I engaged in, even the process of practicing law, I mean, the simple answer is no. I am doing what I want to do. I am doing what I love to do. And every time I make a decision, I think, did I do good for the community? Sometimes I think, did I save a child? And so to me, there is no better reward than doing good. So I guess, no, I have no regrets.
Judge Duckworth, would you please come forward? Bryce Duckworth. This is a good question. The questions have really been good today, haven't they, Phil? Oftentimes, child welfare, outpatient mental health, and rehabilitative mental health disciplines are involved in family court cases, but oftentimes they disagree with each other. There's inconsistencies. In a certain case where there are those inconsistent recommendations and findings, what do you do as a judge when the issue has to do with child custody?
Really what you're dealing with are evaluative services that we have to consider when we're resolving the issue of custody. And I don't know that it's any different than hearing the evidence and testimony as it relates to any general custody matter. I think it's a matter of reviewing the reports, and as you listen to the testimony, you have the opportunity to evaluate the credibility of the evidence that's being received, the credibility of the witnesses, and what avenue is more persuasive depending upon the evaluative services that are being pursued. I'll say in many cases, we don't need those evaluative services, and we hear the evidence and we make those adjudications, but when we do have those mental health services involved, I think it's critical to be familiar with the reports, be familiar with the qualifications of the individuals who are issuing the reports, and then truly listen to the evidence. Because that's what we're asked to do, is make a call on issues of credibility and demeanor as we listen to the witnesses, and that also applies to entertaining testimony regarding from expert witnesses.
I hate to end with controversial questions, but
Thank you.
yeah, you're here. It's been pointed out to me, and it may not be a fact, but I believe that it is, that in the state of Nevada, there are very few minority judges. As a matter of fact, no African American has been elected to the bench with first being appointed. As a Latino judge, how do we get more minorities and improve diversity on the bench?
First, I'm not a Latino judge. I'm a district court judge.
Who is Latino?
Okay.
I apologize.
The way I see it, the best way is for me to do a great job. I have that responsibility as being an Hispanic judge to make sure that the Hispanic attorneys, the Hispanic citizens can have someone that they're proud of and that I can do the job. If they can see that I can do the job, hopefully the citizens of Nevada can elect more a diversified bench, because we do not have a diversified bench. In family court, Judge Gonzalez and Judge Vega, Sanchez and Valani, but Frank Sullivan, but I'll give him 50% credit. He claims to be Hispanic from Chicago, and I believe him, so. But I think, our role is to be role models and try to do a good job. If we do a good job, I think we'll see more diversified bench in the future.
Thank you.
And batting cleanup, Judge Henderson, please. Judge Henderson, just talk normal. Are you a Dodger fan, and how are they doing right now?
They're amazing. They had all these huge investment in players in the offseason, and they tanked the first few months, but the last couple of months they turned it around dramatically.
Talk to the audience.
He's really set the league on fire. No. I'm from Los Angeles, can you tell?
This is a tough question. This is going to cause some thinking. How can I'm going to read the literal question and we'll kind of talk through it. How can a judge provide joint custody in 2 states to work with school districts that allow a semester with each parent because of joint custody?
Steve, even though there's the concepts of joint legal custody, which is more information sharing and decision making, joint physical custody deals more with equal or close to an equal split of custody. I frankly think it's very difficult. Sometimes if it's contiguous states or states that connect to each other, you can fashion something approximating joint physical custody where someone gets the school year and someone gets most of the vacations or summers. But in a situation like you're suggesting, where we're going to bounce a child from one state to another state each year or each semester, I think generally that's not conducive to stability. I don't think that's an optimum arrangement if people are living in different states. There's exceptions to that, but I don't think it's good for a child in the well, in 4th grade, you're going to live in Wisconsin, and then in 5th grade in Nevada, and then back to Wisconsin for the 6th grade, and even more disruptive if it's done semester by semester.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our formal program. Let me ask you, just for purposes of doing it easy, for the judges on stage to remain seated, I'd like to, do you have one of these? One of these programs? Okay, I'd like to thank our sponsors, who are Attorney Craig Mueller, Attorney Richard Scotti, Attorney Andre Lagomarsino, Brooks Brothers Bail Bonds, Clark County District Court Judge James Bixler, Clark County District Judge Gloria O'Malley, Cohen and Padda, Attorneys at Law, Nevada Judicial Watch, Real Water, and the Ron Q Foundation. Have some presentations and awards and certificates. Rather than all call you up individually, I think we have something for all of the judges, which we can give out when we're done. And then I think we have, if I'm following the program, because I don't see Steve Sensen anywhere, to recognize some Veterans in Politics members, please. Melody Howard, let's thank Melody for her service as former president of Veterans in Politics. And we're going to welcome and introduce the new president of Veterans in Politics, Nevada chapter, Byron Brooks. Byron, are you here? Steve, is Byron here? Byron Brooks? No? Okay. We're not going to sing happy birthday, but we're going to recognize a couple of birthday girls, I think. Judge Alicia Kadish and Lily Babcock. Happy birthday. And then just some final remarks. Phil, would you like to start off?
I just want to thank everyone for coming down here. I think this is the start of something really good. I want to thank all the judges for participating and being so candid with us. It is a pleasure to work with our district attorney. If you knew the backstory, it is absolute pleasure to work with Steve Wolfson and all the judges. And Steve Sampson, where we are, thanks for inviting us down.
Before you leave, Steve, I saw him walking. I think we have some other certificates back here, or should we just conclude the program?
No, Mr. DA. I could take over from here.
Sure. Why don't you come out on stage? Stephen, come on. Come on.
I wasn't planning to come out on stage. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Didn't the district attorney and the public defender do a great job? And these judges, aren't they amazing? There's so many of them. They're so amazing that we're going to give them certificates. So let me get Karen Stillman and Andre Haynes to take over.
I don't know who's left, so who's still here.
And I just want to make sure that we recognize our sponsors. We have Attorney Craig Mueller. Oh, you did that already? Let me get off stage.
So I'm going to ask the judges who are called to please come up and accept your certificate. And I guess it matters that I speak out of this microphone. Carolyn Ellsworth. We didn't practice, obviously. Actually, thank you. Thank you very much. Mark Benton. Timothy Williams. Alyssa Kadish. Michelle Levitt. Jerome Tao. Gloria Sturman. Nancy Al. Vincent Ochoa. Bryce Duckworth. Frank Sullivan. The mayor? Pastor Michael Haynes. Principal Ron Guerzon. And a very big thank you to both of you. Bob Bear. Sandra Pomeranz. Students. I want to give a special recognition. I want to make sure everybody understands. The students who were involved in this program had to go on their own and show extreme independence and communication skills. They went and spoke with the judges themselves, met with them, spent time with them. That's why they're called shadows. So I want to make sure that everybody understands how impressive it is that these students performed their tasks in this.